What's up, everyone, and welcome back to Fiction Tea Reviews. Talk about the live-action Mulan film. Lots of people have been talking about this movie, and people have been telling me to basically watch it. So yeah, I watched it, I think, like 2 days ago. Now, usually I don't do action movies or adventure, but I'm basically going to be more prone and open to reviewing different types of stuff now, because lately I've been watching all different types of genres and kind of getting out of my genre, but I'm still going to be reviewing that genre, so probably just going to be doing everything now. Mulan is a 2020 action adventure film. It's 2 hours and it's PG-13, so it's for everyone. It's directed by Niki, Caro, and it stars Lee Yefe as Huan Mulan and Yoson On as Shen Hongwei. To save her father from serving in the Imperial Army, a fearless young woman disguises herself as a man to battle northern invaders in China. Interesting, we have young Mulan. She's super adventurous, she's jumping on roofs, she's climbing over things, she's just freely running around and being happy, and you have all the townspeople are kind of like looking at her weird and like putting their noses up at her and just like in disgust and disgrace and shaming her for basically not being the traditional girl. And even her dad basically tells her, like, you need to suppress that and you need to focus on your family and you need to be ready to marry. Learn from the very beginning these traditional rules that's put on her and these expectations that's put on her because of her family and because of her gender. And we see how she truly couldn't be herself. Now, there's a scene where they are powdering these women like freaking powdered donuts. They're wearing these really, really tight corsets where she practically cannot even breathe or move. Super uncomfortable dresses. Her hair is tied up super, super tight, and teaching these young girls womanhood, which is basically upheld by a bunch of misogyny and toxic femininity. From those traditions, you can definitely see how, like, what's expected in that culture, how they basically have to be in pain to look beautiful and be super over the top with the makeup and the dressing and the hairs and the clothes, and how it just looks like it's so much just to look like a woman, look like the traditional woman. And Mulan even was just like, can you tell how I look? Like, can you understand my facial expression at all, to her sister? And she's like, oh no, you look this way. And she's like, exactly. Like, you can't even tell what I look like because I just look like this, kind of like this fake person, like this fake plastic person that I'm pretending to be. The humiliation with the dad part was really interesting because it was like, he's the man, he's the machismo, like he's the dad, like you can't humiliate him. Even though Mulan wanted to help him, and even though he knew and everyone else knew, like he was way too, old to try to fight anyone or really do much. It was just like the mom basically told Mulan, like, don't do that, you're going to humiliate him, his character. So that expectation for men as well, as not being allowed to ask for help, having to be like this strong person 24/7 and uphold that. Also, him being in a position where he's allowed to be the one in charge, he's allowed to say things, and it just goes like when they were at the dinner table and he kind of just snapped at the dinner table a little bit and everybody just kind of had to sit and listen to what he said. It really showed how gender roles are portrayed. Meanwhile, Mulan was kind of told to be courageous and brave for her family, even though she was just a child. So that was pretty interesting as well. Also tell that they had a deep connection and a deep loyalty to their ancestors, as well as the whole phoenix bird and how they worship the phoenix. And if you think about the phoenix bird, it represents rebirth. When a phoenix bird burns, it is reborn and recreated. So I thought that was interesting that they used that instead of the dragon more so, because when I think about the cartoon and I also think about Asian culture with the dragon and what that represents and what it symbolizes. I thought it was really interesting how they used the phoenix bird instead of the dragon. Also, that misogynoir at that dinner table, whew, man, it was bad. It was bad when it was all the guys sitting down and they were talking about, oh, what type of girl do you like? Do you like this type of girl? And I mean, the reasons that they like girl was mostly image wise. It was all physical. It wasn't anything mental or really emotional. And it was just super misogynistic. There was definitely some traditional fight scenes that I enjoyed. Leave like in that they're fighting and jumping on walls and stuff. I love when Mulan was swimming. I was like, I kind of want to go swimming. Like she makes me, I want to get in there and swim too. Like it looks relaxing. I also love that monumental moment where Mulan's like walking and climbing up the mountain and they play that music in the background and like she's kind of triumphant and she makes it to the top while all of the other guys are just lagging and just super tired and exhausted in the background, huffing and puffing. I really felt proud of her, like in a sense, like watching this, I felt proud to watch her do that and really shine light on her womanhood and her strength as a woman. Especially like she was this girl who was portraying to be this guy, but since she wasn't able to really be a part of that, it's because she was a girl, so she had to, you know, dress up as a boy. But here we have this girl who's tougher than the other guys. She can do everything they can do 10 times better, and it was great to see. Like I said, I enjoyed the music a lot. I enjoyed when they played the music when the Phoenix was flying around. I enjoyed the references to your truth and living your truth and yourself. I liked how the witch woman showed up and was like, you're never basically going to get past this because you're lying to yourself. Not only are you lying to everyone else, you're lying to yourself. And I like how that was put into this because it really showed that you have to live your truth no matter what. And you could lie all you want and think that you're going to do something, but in the end, you're really hurting yourself by lying. You're really hurting yourself when you're not living your true self. And that message alone was just, it's a pretty good message to put out there for kids, especially that this is like a Disney movie, that this is originally a Disney Plus movie, even though I didn't watch it on Disney Plus. I love the beautiful Phoenix. It was yellow, it was pink, it was red, like just the way it looked was just really, really beautiful. And it looked truly realistic to me. Like, I wish that I could have a Phoenix bird. That bird was just beautiful. I also enjoyed her fly kicks and her jump kicks when she was fighting bad guys. I also really love when she finally just stood in her truth and she told everybody who she was, and then from there she didn't care. She was like, you can execute me, this is me, this is who I am. And even after the fact, even after they shamed her and everything, she still was just loyal and like, I'm gonna stand my ground, I'm gonna help out, like no matter what. I loved everything about the message in this movie. I was kind of shocked when like there was an ambush and I'm like, how do you guys not know that this was an ambush? And then they were all like walking up and I'm like, y'all, this is sus. Y'all can't tell that it's too quiet. It's too quiet. And they're like, oh, it's an ambush. And I'm just like, of course it's an ambush. Of course. Duh. They know you're coming. Of course. Y'all should have prepared for this. Lastly, I also like that the lady sacrificed herself for Mulan. It seemed like a sacrifice in womanhood in some way, like because she had been there before Mulan, and Mulan basically changed the game where it made the guys trust her and she was able to be a part of something, whereas the lady kind of wasn't. She had to take orders from that guy, and the sacrifice was really monumental and it meant a lot because it led her to basically being reborn when her sword burned in that fire, and she was reborn like the phoenix bird. When the bird burns and it rises from its ashes. That's the same thing that happened for Mulan. It was cool to see. Unfortunately, the antagonist had all this anger and all this rage, but he didn't have any skill when you think about it. Like, he didn't have any skill, he didn't have any plan set. It was just rage and emotion. That's one of the main reasons why he lost. Now, as far as visual wise, I love that pink and purple sky and the way it looked at the end when Mulan was talking to Hung And the ending definitely was not generic. I was like, at least the ending wasn't generic. It wasn't this traditional ending where the guy meets girl, they get together, they get married or something. You know how the Disney movies go. We all know they all have the same ending. I like that she went back to the family and stayed with them, but she also was able to be her own person. I love that she got everything she wanted and didn't really have to sacrifice who she was for to be with somebody, or who she was to be a part of something. At first she was, but then she learned the lesson in the end that just be yourself, and being herself ultimately got her accepted, and ultimately she was able to live the way she wanted to live. And it wasn't like this traditional thing of like she has to be with this guy in order to be somebody, you know, like that whole Disney ending, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that, but it was nice to see something that was not generic. And I enjoy this movie. I know a lot of people didn't like it because it was different. A lot of people didn't like it because there was too many differences from the cartoon, and I didn't compare it to that. I usually try not to do that when I watch remakes, even though if it's like one of my favorite remakes, I probably would. But I completely understand why some people didn't like it, but I enjoyed it. And I don't think I went in with expectations either about it. Like, my expectation wasn't high. And when it first came out, I wasn't like eager to watch it. I was just like, oh, I'll watch it, like maybe. And I think that's probably another reason why it wasn't bad for me. But yeah, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and be sure to comment below. Let me know, what did you think about this film? Did you like this film? Like, did you guys pay $30 for this movie? Because I surely did not. But I don't know. People were saying like it was $30 or something like that, and I'm just like, now it wasn't a bad movie, but I wouldn't pay $30 for this. I wouldn't. You can find it somewhere online, guys. Don't tell nobody I told you that, but yeah. Hit that notification bell to get notified for future videos. And I am just so behind on videos. I know. I'm trying. I really am trying. I've been watching a lot of stuff, so I have material. I just have to put it out. Yeah, I will. I'm really trying to get back on track. Just kind of bear with me. I'm hoping like by this week I'll have like everything back lined up on days that I'm supposed to be releasing videos, releasing content. And before you go, be sure to get you a copy of my book Brain. It's a psychological thriller about a group of young adults and teens who live in this psych ward, and they all have mental illnesses, PTSD, schizophrenia, personality disorder, suicidal disorder, and they've lived here their entire lives. Like all they know is crazy. All they know is crazy people, crazy environment. They get this counselor, he's young and youthful, and he's like, I'm gonna help you guys. I'm gonna figure out what's going on. I'm gonna investigate and see what's really going on around here. But he also has his own secret agenda. He's come there to figure out what happened to his brother, who's also in a mental institution. And as he is there, he starts to learn that these kids are being experimented on, and they're not just crazy. They all have some sort of ability and connection, and he has a connection to them. Psychological thriller, sci-fi, horror based, so there's a mixture of all those things in there. If you're interested in reading or hearing more about it, definitely hit the link in the description box below to get you a copy. You can go to this website. You can also attach yourself to my email list, because I will be doing more read alouds of other stories that I have, and I also will be helping out with people who want to become writers. And I will see you next time.